Welcome back. Today, we're diving into a really crucial explainer. We're looking at the architecture of financial freedom for children. We're going to unpack exactly how to build healthy money habits for the next generation, and we'll start by addressing the massive elephant in the room. Okay, let's just jump right in with a foundational question. Think about this. What silently controls almost every adult life? I mean, we spend years teaching our kids how to walk, talk, behave, basically how to survive in the world. But somehow, we almost always leave out this one critical piece.
The answer? It's money. And honestly, it's pretty striking that most kids grow up learning practically nothing about it. Now look, this isn't because parents are bad or they don't care. Not at all. It's really a quiet crisis. And it stems from the simple fact that a lot of adults were never actually taught how money works themselves.
So what happens when children inherit that silence? Well, it follows a tragic, completely predictable sequence. The silence at home just turns into confusion, and then that confusion eventually transforms into debt, which inevitably leads to stress, arguments, and just deep financial anxiety. Literally, a person's relationship with money is locked in during childhood, long before they ever see their first paycheck.
Which brings us to our first major concept. Children are always watching.
It's a super relatable parental contradiction. Picture this. On one hand, a child gets a stern lecture about how we can't afford that. But then on the other hand, they watch their parents impulsively buying things online. It's a huge mixed signal. And the truth is, kids absorb far more from watching our actions than they ever will from our lectures.
It makes sense, right? Children don't really understand complex financial systems, but they absolutely understand patterns. Over time, the patterns they observe just get hardwired into their beliefs. So depending on what they see happening at home, kids learn that money either vanishes quickly, causes a bunch of stress, or is basically just used to impress other people. So if parents are struggling to set the right patterns, shouldn't schools be stepping in? Well, let's get into school blind spots and the real mistake being made.
We're looking at a massive disconnect in our education system here. Millions of young adults graduate knowing algebra and historical dates perfectly, but they know absolutely nothing about interest rates or debt traps. They get thrown into the real world completely surrounded by credit cards, buy now, pay later apps, and non-stop advertising. It's crazy. It's literally like teaching someone to drive a car without ever explaining what a stop sign is. It's incredibly dangerous. And because adults usually only figure money out through really painful mistakes, like a terrible car loan or living paycheck to paycheck, they start to believe that just earning more money is the magic fix. But here's the reality. Income without discipline disappears fast. A high salary won't magically cure financial stress. Actually, your behavior and your discipline, those are the true fixes.
Now, when the home is silent and the schools fail to teach this stuff, something else steps in. Enter the social media trap.
Think about it. Modern children are growing up in one of the most aggressive advertising environments in human history. They are constantly facing algorithms that shout, buy this, wear this, upgrade this, show this off. Social media influencers have essentially become their new financial advisors, shaping their spending habits and falsely making them believe that massive consumption equals happiness and identity. To fight back against that intense environment, we absolutely have to have conversations at home to establish some clear boundaries. Kids need to learn these crucial, non-negotiable lessons. Money is just a tool. That's it. It's not a personality trait, it's not a status symbol, and it is certainly not their self-worth.
So how do we actually counter this hyperconsumerism? Let's talk about some simple conversations that work.
The really good news here, you don't need a degree in complex economic theory or Wall Street investing. It can be as simple as using a highly visual jar system. You just use one jar for spending, one for saving, and one for giving. Simple, right? But it's an easy, visual way to teach kids right from the start that money actually has distinct purposes beyond just spending it all immediately. Which ties perfectly into delayed gratification, saving up for something important instead of buying it right this second. Honestly, this might be one of the most powerful financial skills you can have in life. And you can teach this vital concept with just simple, quick statements at the grocery store or in the toy aisle. You're shifting their goal away from instant consumption and steering them towards long-term control. All of this really highlights a core philosophy. Finance isn't just math, it's psychology. Building small financial habits, like learning patience and avoiding emotional spending, literally shapes entire lives. Because a child who learns how to be patient with $5 is going to make vastly better decisions when they're dealing with $5,000 down the road.
And that brings us to our final point. The real goal is peace.
Ultimately, look, we aren't trying to raise a generation of kids who are totally obsessed with becoming millionaires. The real objective is to raise kids who understand control. We want them to have peace, less stress, and way more options in life. The goal is to protect them from future suffering, because we all know that money problems eventually bleed right into our health, our relationships, and our mental freedom.
Kids who grasp money early on make much calmer, more responsible decisions. They understand how to plan, and those small behavioral differences, they compound over decades, exactly like investing does. They're not going to be perfect. Nobody is. But those slight shifts early on add up to massive peace of mind later in life.
So, I'll leave you with this thought to reflect on today. When your kids eventually grow up and start making their own financial decisions, what patterns will they remember seeing from you? They'll probably forget your specific conversations, but they are absolutely going to remember your patterns. If this explainer got you thinking differently, go ahead and share it with another parent. And be sure to subscribe to Rene Pineda, the Illiterate Investor, for more explainers and deep dives into the psychology of money. Thanks for learning with me today.